In the middle of the night in England, three animal rights activists break into the Cambridge Primate Research Center. Inside, chimpanzees are being experimented on with disturbing videos of human rage, violence, and destruction. As the activists start taking pictures, a scientist discovers them and tries to call security. They stop him just in time, capturing him. Desperate, the scientist begs them not to release the chimps, warning that they are infected with a highly contagious and dangerous virus called rage. The activists ignore his warning and free one of the chimps. Immediately, it attacks and bites a woman with uncontrollable fury before another activist kills it. The other chimps go wild in their cages as the bitten woman collapses, vomiting blood. The scientist pleads for them to kill her, but it's too late. She transforms into a raging zombie and attacks everyone in the room. 28 days later, Jim wakes up from a coma in an empty hospital. Confused, he wanders through the silent halls searching for people, but finds only chaos. After grabbing drinks from a vending machine, he leaves the building and explores London. The city is deserted, filled only with destruction. A newspaper reveals that Britain has suffered a mass exodus, and a bulletin board overflows with missing person notices. Jim eventually enters a church, where unsettling messages are scrawled across the walls. In the main hall, he's horrified to see piles of rotten bodies. When he says hello, a few of them suddenly move, staring at him with blank, lifeless eyes. A priest emerges, infected and violent. Jim defends himself with his bag full of cans, but the priest doesn't stop. Terrified, Jim flees as other zombies pour out of the church and chase him through the streets. He runs until he reaches a gas station, where two survivors, Mark and Selena, throw Molotov cocktails at the infected to save him. Together, they blow up the gas station to wipe out the remaining zombies. They then take Jim to their hideout, an abandoned sweet shop in the London Underground. There, Jim explains that he was in a coma from a car accident. Selena fills him in. The virus escaped from a research center, spreading uncontrollably. Most of the population is dead or infected, the army has been overrun, and the government has collapsed. Jim insists on visiting his parents' house, despite Selena's warning that they're likely gone. Mark and Selena agree to go with him. The next morning, they cross a silent London and reach Jim's home. Heartbroken, Jim discovers that his parents took their own lives to avoid infection, leaving behind a note saying, "Don't wake up." As Jim grieves, Selena and Mark remind him that at least his family died peacefully, unlike theirs, who became monsters. That night, Jim can't sleep and watches old family videos, but the light attracts zombies. Two of them crash through the window, attacking him. Jim screams, alerting Selena and Mark, who rush in and kill the creatures with brutal efficiency. Selena checks Jim carefully to ensure he wasn't bitten or contaminated. Sadly, Mark is wounded and covered in infected blood. Without hesitation, Selena hacks him to death with her machete, then tells Jim they must leave before more zombies arrive. After cleaning up, changing clothes, and gathering supplies, Jim and Selena move on. She warns him that if someone is infected, they must be killed immediately, no matter if it's a friend or family member. Later, they notice flashing lights from an apartment building and decide to investigate. The lobby is blocked with trolleys, but they climb over them and head upstairs. As they rest, they hear screeching. The infected are inside, climbing over the trolleys too. Jim and Selena race up the stairs, only to find the path blocked by a man in protective gear. The man, Frank, and his daughter, Hannah, introduce themselves warmly. Their apartment, lit up with bright signals, was the source of the flashing lights. Frank is relieved his signal finally attracted company. The next morning, Frank shows Jim the buckets he has placed on the roof to collect rainwater, but it hasn't rained in a long time. Supplies are running out, and survival in the apartment won't last much longer. Frank then plays a repeating military radio broadcast, claiming that soldiers near Manchester are offering survivors protection, and even a solution to the infection. Frank is eager to go, but Selena is skeptical, suspecting it's a trap or an outdated message. Hannah, however, convinces everyone it's worth the risk. The group packs their supplies and sets off in Frank's taxi. As they drive through London, they witness destruction everywhere. In a tunnel, the road is blocked by crashed cars and corpses. Frank plows through, but the car suffers a flat tire. While changing it, they hear strange noises. Infected close in, climbing over wrecked vehicles, but the group finishes just in time and speeds away. Hours later, they reach the countryside and stop at an abandoned burger shack to siphon fuel from a truck. Curious, Jim explores inside and finds a dead family. Suddenly, a zombie child attacks him, forcing Jim to kill it. They move on, traveling through the countryside, which remains hauntingly beautiful. During dinner, they watch horses running freely in the fields. Selena admits the moment is better than she expected and gently kisses Jim's cheek. That night, the group shelters in the ruins of an old castle. Jim and Hannah struggle to sleep, so they ask Selena how she manages. She shares her medicine with them, giving them a brief sense of relief. The next day, Jim wakes from a nightmare where he thought he was abandoned. Thankfully, it was just a dream. Frank is still there. The group continues toward Manchester, only to see the city burning in the distance. Eventually, they arrive at the promised blockade, but it's deserted. Military trucks and equipment are scattered around, yet no one is there. Selena urges them to leave, but Frank refuses to accept defeat. Frustrated, he lashes out when he sees a crow feeding on a dead zombie. He kicks the wall to scare it away, but the movement causes a single drop of infected blood to fall directly into his eye. Realizing what's happening, Frank tells Hannah he loves her and begs her to stay back. As the infection takes over, he pushes his daughter away in a fit of rage. Selena urges Jim to kill him before it's too late. Jim hesitates, unable to harm his friend. But before Frank can fully transform, a group of soldiers suddenly appears and shoots him dead. Afterward, the soldiers take Jim, Selena, and Hannah to a fortified mansion hidden deep in the woods. This base, secured against the infected, is run by a group of surviving soldiers led by Major West. He welcomes the newcomers, offering them food and showers. While Hannah naps, Selena breaks down in front of Jim. He tries to comfort her with a kiss. At first she responds, but quickly pulls away, realizing what's happening. Later, Jim questions Major West about the answer to the infection mentioned in the radio broadcast. West admits there's no cure. To him, the answer is the mansion itself, its security, supplies, and defenses. He even shows Jim a captured infected soldier chained in the courtyard. West explains he's experimenting to see how long it takes for one to starve, hoping that might be humanity's only real solution. That evening, Jim's group joins the soldiers for dinner, unsettled by their harsh, macho behavior. West appears in full uniform, insults one of his men for making a cooking mistake, and assumes Hannah can take over kitchen duties. Suddenly, alarms blare. The soldiers rush outside and efficiently mow down dozens of incoming zombies, defeating them in minutes with heavy gunfire and explosions. When they return inside, one soldier, Mitchell, tries to assault Selena. Jim steps in, but Mitchell easily overpowers him until Sergeant Farrell intervenes. Major West arrives, orders the men to clean the bodies, and later has a private talk with Jim. West reveals his true plan. A few days earlier, one of his soldiers nearly ended his life out of despair. To restore hope, West promised his men women, claiming they would repopulate after starving out the infected. The radio broadcast was just bait. Horrified, Jim tries to escape with Hannah and Selena, but they're quickly captured. Farrell, who also opposes West's plan, is taken prisoner as well. Jim and Farrell are locked together, and Farrell shares a thought. The infection likely hasn't crossed the seas. The rest of the world might be fine, Britain is probably just quarantined. This sparks new hope in Jim. The next morning, Mitchell and another soldier, Jones, march Jim, Farrell, and the girls into the woods to execute them by a pile of bodies. Farrell accuses them of betraying their own sergeant. Tensions rise. Jones wants to shoot quickly, but Mitchell insists on a slower, crueler death. Jones finally pulls the trigger, killing Farrell and accidentally wounding Mitchell. In the chaos, Jim slips away and pretends to be a corpse among the dead. When the soldiers aren't looking, he escapes over the wall. Seeing his shirt left behind, they assume he won't survive in the infected woods and leave him. While hiding, Jim looks up and spots a jet flying overhead. Proof Farrell was right. The outside world is still functioning. Back at the mansion, the soldiers dress Hannah and Selena in gowns, preparing them for assault. Selena tries to resist but changes tactics, flirting with a soldier to buy time. She convinces him to leave so they can change in private, then gives Hannah some of her medicine to dull the trauma. The soldier overhears and storms back inside, but before he can act, alarms ring again. It's Jim. He has returned, sounding the alarms at the blockade to lure soldiers away. Major West and another soldier respond. Jim ambushes the soldier and steals his weapon. West discovers the man dead in his jeep, panics, and fires blindly. When he tries to escape, his jeep stalls, and he's forced to fight off more zombies before retreating back to the mansion. Meanwhile, Jim sneaks into the estate. With his stolen weapon, he frees the chained, infected soldier. The creature immediately attacks the guards, spreading the infection inside. Selena drags Hannah away while chaos erupts. One soldier becomes infected and attacks Jones, who flees in terror. As the zombies overwhelm the mansion, Jim stalks Jones and kills him without hesitation. Jim finally confronts Mitchell, who has Selena cornered. Despite Mitchell taking Selena hostage, Jim attacks with brutal fury, smashing his head against the wall and crushing his eyes. The violence shocks Selena so much, she nearly kills Jim with her machete, mistaking him for an infected. The trio rushes outside to escape, only to find Major West waiting in Frank's old taxi. Seething with vengeance, he shoots Jim. Acting fast, Hannah slams the taxi in reverse, crashing into the mansion. The freed zombie seizes the opportunity, dragging West inside to kill him. Hannah speeds away, rescuing Jim and Selena as the mansion burns behind them. At the locked gates, she doesn't hesitate, driving straight through to freedom. Jim's memories blur. He recalls collapsing, Selena giving him CPR in a hospital, and her desperate voice begging him to live. 28 days later, Jim, Selena, and Hannah are alive, living peacefully in a countryside cottage. Selena has spent days sewing together massive sheets of fabric. When they hear a plane passing overhead, the trio rushes outside, spreading the fabric to reveal a giant message stitched on the ground. Hello. The plane sees it, circles back, and their long-awaited rescue finally arrives. So that's it. Hope you enjoy the story. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.